river didn't look dangerous until it moved. At first glance it was just a sheet of dull gray ice, quiet and flat beneath a sky the color of old bruises. Then the ice split open with a sound like a bone snapping, and everything changed. I remember the way my breath caught when I saw him, just a flash of wet fur and terror, before the current dragged the dog under again. The cold rose off the water in visible waves, biting at my face, crawling into my lungs with every inhale. Someone behind me yelled my name. Or maybe they yelled, "Don't." But the wind tore the words apart before they reached me. My heart was beating so hard it felt like it was trying to escape my chest, as if it already knew what I was about to do. I thought about how heavy the water would feel, how fast it would steal my strength, how easy it would be to disappear beneath that black surface. Then the dog surfaced again, eyes locked on mine, and in that moment there was no river, no fear, no future to consider. There was only a life slipping away and my body already moving toward the edge. The dog didn't run far. He never did. Just a few steps ahead, enough to feel free, enough to let the cold air rush into his lungs and sharpen his senses. The river lay before him, flat and pale, covered in ice that looked solid from a distance. It carried the quiet confidence of something that had been still for a long time. Snow dusted its surface lightly, hiding the thin, fragile places where winter had grown tired. To the dog it looked like ground, safe, familiar, something he could trust. His nose hovered close to the surface as he moved, drawing in the strange metallic scent of frozen water beneath ice. His ears twitched at distant sounds, wind brushing through bare trees, the faint creak of ice shifting far away. His tail swayed once, slow and uncertain, not from excitement but from habit. He paused, sensing something he couldn't name. Animals often feel danger before they understand it, but feeling is not always enough to stop momentum. His front paw slid forward. The ice answered with a sound that didn't belong in nature. Not loud, not sudden, just a sharp, brittle crack like a bone giving way under pressure. The dog froze. Every muscle in his body tightened, instincts flaring too late. Before he could pull back, the surface beneath him collapsed. The cold swallowed him whole. Water rushed over his chest, his neck, his face, stealing the air from his lungs in a violent gasp. The shock was instant and brutal. It felt like thousands of needles piercing his skin at once, like his body had been plunged into something alive and angry. His legs kicked wildly, paws slapping against nothing solid, searching for ground that no longer existed. The river pulled at him, dragging him downward and sideways at the same time. His head broke the surface for a heartbeat. Ice scraped against his muzzle as he tried to lift himself, but it crumbled under his weight. His claws scraped uselessly, nails screeching against the frozen edge. He made a sound, short, raw, half a bark and half a cry, but the wind tore it away before it could become anything more. Then the current yanked him under again. Panic flooded his body faster than the water. His heart pounded hard and fast, each beat desperate and uncoordinated. His muscles burned as they worked against the freezing weight of the river. He knew how to swim. His body remembered the motion even as his mind struggled to keep up, but this was different. The cold made his limbs heavy, slow to respond. Each movement felt delayed, like his body was no longer fully his. His eyes stayed wide open beneath the surface, stinging, searching through dark, churning water for something. Anything that looked like escape. Light flickered above him, distorted by ice and ripples. He kicked toward it, his strength already fading. His breath burned inside his chest, trapped, demanding release. When his head finally surfaced again, he sucked in air so sharply it hurt. The world felt enormous and cruel from the river. The sky loomed far above, gray and indifferent. The ice edge was just out of reach, breaking apart each time he tried to grab it. His body trembled uncontrollably, not from fear alone but from the cold digging deeper into his muscles. Every instinct screamed the same command: survive. He paddled, turning in small frantic circles as the current spun him slowly. His thoughts weren't words, they were flashes, pressure, cold, the need for air, the overwhelming urge to keep moving even as exhaustion crept in. He tried again to lift himself onto the ice, pushing with everything he had left. The surface cracked further, dropping him back into the black water. For the first time something close to confusion passed through him. The river did not behave like solid ground. It did not forgive mistakes. It did not slow down. His movements weakened. His legs no longer kicked with the same strength. Each breath became shorter, harsher. The cold wrapped tighter around his chest, around his heart. The sound of the world dulled, replaced by the rush of water and the thudding echo inside his ears. Still, he fought. Not because he understood hope or rescue or outcomes, but because somewhere deep inside him, older than thought, there was a refusal to let go. The river did not stop moving just because the dog was drowning. It slid past him with steady indifference, tugging at his legs, twisting his body, deciding his direction without asking. The cold had settled deeper now. No longer a sharp shock, but a suffocating weight that wrapped around his muscles and slowed every command his brain tried to send. His paws still moved, but not with purpose. Each stroke felt shorter than the last, weaker, as if the water were quietly stealing pieces of him. When his head slipped under again, the darkness felt thicker. Sound vanished first, then the sense of up and down. The river turned him sideways, rolling him just enough to disorient him completely. His eyes stayed open, burning, searching for the pale glow of the surface. It hovered above him like a distant memory, fractured by ice and ripples. He kicked toward it, lungs screaming, chest tightening as the need for air became unbearable. His body wanted to breathe. Instinct overrode reason. His mouth opened underwater, and cold flooded in, shocking him all over again. He jerked violently, forcing his jaws shut, coughing silently as bubbles rushed past his face. Panic surged hard and fast, sharper than before. His heart hammered wildly, wasting energy he didn't have. Every part of him was working at once, but nothing was working well. He surfaced again by chance more than skill. His nose broke through the water, then his mouth. Air tore into his lungs, raw and painful. He gasped, drawing in freezing wind that burned almost as badly as the water. His head bobbed unsteadily, barely staying above the surface. Ice bumped against his cheek, spun away, then collided with his shoulder. The river was breaking itself apart around him. He tried to climb again. One paw found the ice edge and slipped. His claws scraped desperately, leaving pale lines that vanished instantly beneath the water. The ice cracked louder this time, splintering under the strain. He felt it give way and knew, without understanding words, that this path would not hold him. The river was stronger. The river always won. His legs began to shake uncontrollably. The cold had reached something essential now, numbing not just skin but coordination. His kicks lost rhythm. His body tilted backward, muzzle lifting higher than his chest, an awkward angle that made staying afloat harder. Each second demanded more effort than the last. Exhaustion crept in quietly. Not all at once, not dramatically. Just a subtle delay between intention and movement. A pause before each kick. A heaviness behind his eyes. His thoughts blurred into sensation. Cold, pressure, ache, the endless pull of water. The panic softened into something more dangerous, a creeping stillness. He went under again. This time he didn't fight immediately. His body sank a little deeper, suspended in the dark flow. The river hummed around him, low and constant. His ears filled with water. The world narrowed to the slow pulse in his chest and the distant glow above. His limbs drifted, lighter now, strangely calm. Then something tugged at him. Not the river. It was sudden and sharp, pulling at the loose skin near his shoulders. His body jerked violently, dragged upward with a force that did not belong to the current. Confusion snapped through him, cutting through the fog. His legs kicked again reflexively as he was yanked toward the surface. His head burst into air, water streaming from his face. He coughed, choking, gasping as cold air flooded his lungs. The pull didn't stop. It lifted his chest higher, tilted his body forward. His paws scraped against ice again, but this time the ice did not break immediately. It groaned, protested, but held just long enough. He felt pressure under his chest, something solid, something warm compared to the river. His body slid awkwardly onto the surface, half on ice, half still in water. His legs thrashed weakly, helping without understanding how. The cold still clung to him, but the water loosened its grip inch by inch. The ice cracked once more, but not enough to take him back. Hands. He did not know what hands were, only that they were not water. Gripped him firmly, carefully, lifting and pulling. His body dragged fully onto the frozen surface, collapsing there in a trembling heap. The river slipped away beneath him, dark and disappointed. He lay still, sides heaving, breath tearing in and out of him in ragged bursts. His body shook violently now, not fighting, not swimming, just reacting. The cold air bit into his soaked fur, but the solid ground beneath him felt impossibly safe. Somewhere deep inside, beyond fear and pain and confusion, something loosened. He was no longer sinking. The dog did not understand rescue. He only understood that the water was no longer closing over his head, that the crushing pull around his chest had loosened its grip. He lay on the ice and snow, soaked through, his body trembling so violently it seemed to shake the ground beneath him. Each breath came out in sharp, uneven bursts, ribs expanding and collapsing too fast, too shallow, as if his lungs hadn't yet learned that they were allowed to fill again. Cold air cut into his wet fur, slicing deeper now that the river had released him. The shaking worsened, uncontrollable, rattling through his spine and down his legs. His paws curled inward, muscles cramping from effort and cold. He tried to pull his legs beneath him, but they barely responded, moving sluggishly as though they belonged to someone else. The world felt unstable, tilted, blurred at the edges. Sounds drifted in and out, muffled voices, the scrape of boots on ice. The soft, frantic rhythm of his own heartbeat thundered in his ears, louder than anything else. His eyes blinked slowly, lids heavy, struggling to stay open. Every instinct urged him to move, to stand, to get away. But his body refused. Survival, it seemed, was not finished demanding payment. He rolled slightly onto his side, chest pressed against the frozen ground. The ice burned differently than the water had, not as violent, but sharp and persistent, leaching warmth from him without mercy. His fur clung to his skin, heavy and stiff. His breathing slowed just a fraction, long enough for exhaustion to finally catch him. Images flickered through his awareness, not memories in the human sense, but sensations layered over one another. The feel of solid earth beneath his paws, the rhythm of walking beside someone, the simple comfort of existing without pain. These sensations drifted in and out like fragile shapes, easily shattered by a shiver or a sharp breath. He tried again to rise. His front legs pushed weakly, slipping against the slick surface. His chest lifted an inch before collapsing back down. A small sound escaped him. Not a bark, not a whine, just a soft, broken noise shaped by effort and frustration. He did not know why he needed to stand. Only that lying still felt too close to the river, too close to letting go. Something warm pressed against his side. The contact startled him, sending a brief jolt through his body. He flinched, muscles tightening, heart racing again. But the warmth stayed. It did not pull. It did not hurt. It steadied him. The shaking did not stop, but it changed, less violent, more rhythmic, as if his body were slowly remembering how to regulate itself. The cold remained relentless. It seeped into his joints, his belly, his chest. His teeth chattered audibly now, sharp clicks breaking the silence. His breath came out in white clouds that vanished instantly into the gray air. He blinked again, fighting the heavy pull behind his eyes. Time stretched strangely. Seconds felt like long, indistinct spaces where nothing happened except the effort of breathing. He was aware of being touched, lifted slightly, adjusted. His body moved without protest, too tired to resist. The ground beneath him changed, still cold but different, less biting, less exposed. Snow pressed against his fur instead of ice, softer, more forgiving. He focused on one thing: air in, air out. Gradually, sensation crept back into his limbs. Pain bloomed where numbness had been sharp and uncomfortable. His paws tingled intensely, pins and needles stabbing through them. He flexed his toes weakly, testing whether they still belonged to him. They did. That realization grounded him more than anything else. His breathing slowed further, each inhale deeper than the last. The violent shaking eased into smaller tremors, rippling through his body in waves. Exhaustion settled over him like a heavy blanket, pressing him down, urging him to rest. This time, rest did not feel like surrender. It felt necessary. His head lowered fully to the ground, cheek pressed into cold snow. His eyes stayed open for a while, watching nothing in particular. The sky above remained dull and colorless, but it no longer felt threatening. The river was out of sight now, its sound muted, distant. It no longer filled his senses. The dog did not feel relief the way humans do. What he felt was simpler, quieter. The immediate danger had passed. The pain was real but manageable. His body, battered and cold, was still here. Still breathing, that was enough. As his eyelids finally drifted shut for a moment, not sleep, not yet, just a pause, a fragile truce between fear and fatigue. His body curled inward slightly, protecting what warmth remained. He stayed alive by doing the only thing he could. He stayed. The dog did not rise all at once. His body refused that kind of demand. Instead, it negotiated small shifts first, a slow tightening of muscles, a cautious test of weight. He tucked his legs beneath him and paused there, trembling, head lowered, breath fogging the air in short, steady puffs. The ice beneath him was no longer frightening, but it was not trusted either. Trust, he had learned, could vanish without warning. When he finally pushed up, it was uneven and awkward. One leg shook harder than the others, barely holding. His back arched slightly, fur stiff with drying frost where the wind had kissed it. He swayed, corrected, swayed again. Standing felt unfamiliar, as if the river had rearranged him from the inside out. He stayed upright only because something close by stayed still, solid, unmoving. He leaned without meaning to, borrowing strength where his own had not yet returned. The cold lingered, but it had changed. It was no longer an enemy attacking from every side. It had retreated into his joints, his paws, his chest, where it ached quietly instead of screaming. Each breath filled him more easily now, no longer burning, just heavy. The rhythm of it, inhale, exhale, became something he could rely on again. He took one step, then stopped. The ice crackled faintly beneath his paw and his body reacted instantly, jerking back, heart spiking, muscles tensing for a fight he no longer had the strength to win. He froze there, eyes wide, ears pinned back, listening. Nothing followed. The ice did not break. The river stayed where it was, hidden below. He tried again, slower this time. The step landed more carefully, weight distributed, claws gripping just enough. His confidence did not return with the movement, but his balance did. That mattered. He took another step, then another, each one measured, deliberate, like he was learning the shape of his body all over again. His paws left faint wet prints behind him, dark marks on pale ice that faded as the cold reclaimed them. He glanced back once, catching the movement, then looked away. The river stayed behind him now, no longer surrounding him. Distance softened its presence. It became a memory rather than a threat. When they reached solid ground, the difference was immediate. Snow compressed under his weight instead of cracking. Earth resisted him in a way that felt right. He lowered himself down again, this time on his own terms, curling slightly, tucking his nose toward his chest. His body relaxed in stages, shoulders first, then spine, then legs. Only his ears stayed alert, tracking the world. Time passed. He did not know how much. Enough for the worst of the shaking to ease. Enough for feeling to return fully to his paws, sharp and uncomfortable but real. Enough for exhaustion to sink deep and heavy, pulling at his eyelids. He slept in short bursts, waking often, startled by nothing, reassured by the fact that he was still dry, still breathing, still here. When he woke again, the light had shifted. The sky had softened, losing some of its hard gray edge. The air felt slightly less cruel. He lifted his head and stretched his front legs forward, slowly, carefully. Pain flared and faded. His body answered him again, not easily but honestly. He rose once more, steadier now. The weakness had not vanished, but it no longer ruled him. His tail lifted a fraction, not wagging, not signaling joy, just acknowledging that balance had returned. He looked around with clearer eyes, taking in the quiet world, the frozen river at a safe distance, the open space that no longer felt like a trap. He moved forward at a slow walk, guided not by curiosity now, but by the simple instinct to stay warm, to keep going. Each step carried him farther from the hole in the ice, farther from the place where the river had tried to keep him. By the time he stopped again, curling into himself against the cold, the river felt smaller. Not harmless, but distant. He closed his eyes, breathing deep, letting his body do what it needed to do. For the first time since the ice broke, the dog was no longer fighting. He was recovering. The dog did not return to the river. Even when his strength came back, even when the ache in his muscles faded into something manageable, his body remembered the place where the ground had vanished beneath him. Memory lived in him differently than it did in humans. It was not images or thoughts. It was tension in his legs when he smelled cold water. It was the way his ears tilted back when ice cracked underfoot anywhere, even far from danger. His body carried the lesson quietly, without complaint. Days passed. The cold loosened its grip little by little. Snow softened, then thinned. The sharp edges of winter dulled. The dog moved more easily now, his gait smoother, his breath steady. His fur dried fully, then fluffed again, no longer stiff with frozen water. Strength returned first to his legs, then to his chest, then to the confident way he held his head. But something else remained changed, subtle, almost invisible. He was more careful. He stopped before stepping onto unfamiliar surfaces. He tested the ground with a paw instead of charging forward. He listened longer, smelled deeper. The world had proven it could break without warning, and his body adapted, reshaping itself around that truth. When spring came, it arrived quietly. The ice on the river thinned, then disappeared altogether, leaving dark water flowing freely again. Sunlight danced on the surface where once there had been only gray stillness. Birds returned to the trees. The air carried the scent of wet earth and new growth. The river looked harmless now, almost inviting. The dog stood at its edge one afternoon, paws planted firmly on solid ground. The water moved calmly, whispering instead of roaring. He watched it without fear, but without trust. His reflection wavered in the current, stretched and broken by ripples. He tilted his head slightly, studying the strange double that moved when he moved. He did not step closer. Instead, he turned away. That choice mattered more than any dramatic moment. It was quiet, unnoticed, but it was his. Survival had not just kept him alive, it had taught him how to stay that way. He walked back toward warmth, toward familiarity, toward the steady rhythm of a life that continued. His body felt whole again, but not untouched. The river had taken something from him, innocence, perhaps, and left something else behind in its place: awareness, restraint, a deeper understanding of limits. As the seasons shifted fully, the memory of cold water faded into the background of his days. Not gone, never gone, but no longer sharp. It lived alongside other memories now. The feeling of solid ground under his paws, the return of balance, the slow rebuilding of trust in his own body. He ran again, though not recklessly. He rested deeply. He slept without twitching awake at imagined currents. Sometimes, in quiet moments, he would pause and look toward the river from a distance. Not with fear, not with longing, just acknowledgement. It had been a boundary once, and crossing it had nearly ended everything. Knowing that gave shape to the rest of his world. The ice had broken. The river had tried to keep him, but he had endured. Through instinct, through stubborn refusal, through a body that did not know how to quit even when it should have. Now, as the sun warmed his fur and the earth held firm beneath him, the dog lowered himself into the grass, stretching out comfortably. His chest rose and fell in an easy rhythm. His eyes closed, relaxed, trusting the moment. Behind him the river flowed on, carrying winter away, and the dog stayed.